there's a stretch of water, just about 110 miles wide, that slices the line between two completely different political worlds. This is the story of the Taiwan Strait.
See, this was never just about geography. It's a fault line, a place where ideologies, massive ambitions, and really deep historical wounds all collide. It's one of those few places on Earth where a single mistake, a single miscalculation, could genuinely reshape the entire global order. And for over 70 years, this strait has been the stage for a tense drama, a story built on, well, deliberate ambiguity, a story that's still unfolding with huge consequences for all of us.
All right, let's get into it. To really understand the tension that exists today, we've got to go back, way back, through more than 70 years of history. We're going to trace this whole thing from its violent start through decades of high-stakes diplomacy right up to the complex, tech-driven reality we're facing right now.
So, our story kicks off in 1949. It's the end of the brutal Chinese Civil War, a fight that pitted the nationalist government of Chiang Kai-shek against the communist forces of Mao Zedong. And this one event, right here, sets the stage for pretty much everything that follows.
So, as Mao Zedong's communist forces are declaring their victory in Beijing, their defeated rivals, the nationalists, they flee. They cross the strait, taking the entire government of the Republic of China, all their loyalists, and a huge chunk of the national treasury with them. They set up a new capital in Taipei.
And here's the crucial part. This creates two rival governments, and each one insists that it is the one true, legitimate ruler of all of China. For the KMT in Taipei, Taiwan was just a temporary base, a fortress from which they'd one day go back and retake the mainland. But for the communists in Beijing, Taiwan was a rogue province that had to be liberated and brought back into the fold. And from that moment on, this deep, unyielding geopolitical fault line was drawn right across the Taiwan Strait.
The years that followed were anything but quiet. On 3 different occasions, this simmering conflict just exploded, and it brought the world right to the edge of all-out war.
These weren't just small skirmishes. They were tests of will with massive global stakes. The third one, in 95 and 96, was sparked by a totally different kind of threat: democracy. As Taiwan was getting ready for its very first direct presidential election, Beijing started firing missiles into the waters nearby. It was a blatant act of intimidation. President Clinton's response? He sent 2 U.S. aircraft carrier groups to the region, the biggest show of American military force in Asia since the Vietnam War. By the 1970s, the whole Cold War chessboard was getting rearranged. The conflict started shifting away from open military threats and more towards this complex, high-stakes game of diplomatic chess. That photo of Richard Nixon shaking hands with Mao Zedong, it's one of the most iconic images of the 20th century. This visit was a complete shocker. The US, looking for an edge against the Soviet Union, starts building a relationship with Communist China. This historic pivot led to something called the Shanghai Communique, a super carefully worded document that would completely change Taiwan's place in the world. Just before Nixon's visit, a huge decision was made at the United Nations. Resolution 2758 answered the big question: who gets the China seat? And the vote was clear. The representatives from the People's Republic of China in Beijing were in, and the representatives of the Republic of China in Taipei were out. Just like that, Taiwan was plunged into diplomatic isolation as countries all over the world switched their recognition from Taipei to Beijing. And what's really wild is how even today, this one resolution is seen in 2 totally different ways. Beijing says it proves that Taiwan is part of China. But the US and a lot of other countries say, whoa, hold on. It only decided who gets to sit at the UN. It said nothing about sovereignty. This fundamental disagreement, well, it's still a major point of friction today.
So, with no clear international decision on Taiwan's status, this really complex and fragile system of policies was built up. And it was founded not on clarity, but on a deliberate strategic ambiguity.
This slide is perfect because it shows how the difference between a single word, principle, versus policy is literally everything. Beijing's One China principle is a hard, absolute line. But the US One China policy, that's a masterpiece of diplomatic vagueness. And this little verbal tightrope walk has let the US have formal relations with Beijing for decades, while also keeping up strong, unofficial ties with Taipei.
And this ambiguity wasn't just an international thing. It extended to the 2 sides of the strait as well. The so-called 1992 consensus was kind of a political magic trick. It let both sides say, yes, there is one China, while holding completely different ideas of what that China actually is. It worked for a while. It allowed them to talk. But it's really important to note that Beijing has never officially accepted the respective interpretations part. And that's still a huge point of contention.
Now, to balance out its new relationship with Beijing, the US quietly made these 6 specific promises to Taiwan back in 1982. These assurances, plus the huge Taiwan Relations Act, which is a US law that legally requires Washington to help Taiwan defend itself, they form the very bedrock of America's commitment to Taiwan's security.
Okay, but in the last few decades, a completely new factor has entered the game and totally changed the stakes of this conflict. And that new factor? Technology.
It's this brilliant idea, a new kind of defense. The theory is that Taiwan has weighed itself so essential to the global economy that any attack would trigger a worldwide economic meltdown. The blast radius would be so huge, and it would cripple China's own tech industry in the process, that it actually works as a powerful deterrent.
And look, this isn't just some abstract theory. It is backed up by some absolutely mind-blowing numbers. After decades of smart, disciplined investment in education and R&D, Taiwan has become the world's foundry. They make more than 60% of all semiconductors on the planet.
But here's the real kicker. When you talk about the most advanced, the most cutting-edge microchips, you know, the tiny electronic brains that power our smartphones, our cars, and the entire AI revolution, Taiwan's dominance is almost total. We're talking nearly 90%.
And you don't have to take my word for it. This quote from the Brookings Institution just nails it. The future of technology, for the US, for the whole world, is tied inextricably to this island of 23 million people. The stability of the Taiwan Strait, it's not just some regional security issue anymore. It's a critical pillar of global progress.
And all of this brings us right up to today, where that delicate, decades-old balance of ambiguity is facing, well, it's facing unprecedented levels of strain.
Since around 2016, Beijing has ramped up the pressure on Taiwan, big time. We're talking near-daily military flights into Taiwan's air defense zone, economic pressure like banning certain Taiwanese products, and this relentless campaign to peel away Taiwan's few remaining diplomatic allies. All of this is designed to wear down morale, to intimidate Taiwan's democracy, and to send a message that Beijing's patience might be running out. And this really is the fundamental question, isn't it? This whole structure of strategic ambiguity, it was built for a different time, a different China, and a different Taiwan. And now, all those unresolved questions, born from the ashes of a civil war, are hanging over a world that is way more connected and way more volatile than ever before.
The future of the Taiwan Strait, a place with such profound historical weight and immense modern importance, it remains unwritten. That careful balance of words and intentions that kept a fragile peace for so long is now being tested like never before. And the choice between continued ambiguity and a new, much more dangerous clarity, well, that choice just might define the 21st century.